What if I could give you one sentence to change your perspective about menopause? Not to make you feel better, but to let you know this is scientifically proven. The symptoms that you are feeling are not just in your head, they are your head. You see, because if you are a person who's been asking yourself, why do I feel this way? Why can't I start feeling like myself? I'm not feeling like myself. This is the video for you. I'll see you on the inside. One day I woke up and I felt this overwhelming sense of the world was kind of closing in. I also wondered what was wrong with me because I felt this knot in my throat. It felt as though I couldn't swallow. Like when I did swallow, I thought there was just something there. I also had this uncontrollable shaking, and I felt this overwhelming sense. It's just an overwhelming sense. And so my mind immediately went to the internet and I typed in my symptoms because I know that's what we do to try and hear from Dr. Google and WebMD to see what the symptoms were of throat cancer. And because I also had this uncontrollable shaking, like my hand would be like this and it would be kind of like in a little bit of a tremor. And I thought perhaps I might be at the beginning of something like Parkinson's or some other kind of neurological issue. But then I went to my appointment. I went to my gynecologist appointment for my yearly exam. And that was when I expressed to her that I was really dealing with some ailing symptoms. Not to mention that when I got on the scale, I started to realize that my scale was down about 6 pounds. The blood pressure indicated that I was high blood pressure. They said, let's check it again to see if you might just be a little bit of nervous, right? It was 149 over 85. There's a problem going on here. What is it? And I then began to tell my gynecologist a little bit more about what my concerns were. And they were looking at me and then feeling like, have you been feeling overwhelmed before this time? And I said, no, I've never ever felt overwhelmed like this. I've never felt this feeling before. And they said, well, you might be dealing with depression. And I said, depression? Huh. I've never ever had depressive types of feelings in my life. And at the time, I was 40 or about to be 50 years old and 50 years of age, as I like to say. Old is a mindset, age is an indication of time. And I realized that I never had that problem before in my whole life. And not at one point did anyone say this is menopause. Now, I in my back of my mind thought this could possibly be menopause, but no one was really coming like clean with that. The primary diagnosis was depression and anxiety. Hmm. So I had to deal with it. I'm not the expert. This is what my gynecologist said. I didn't think, oh, I should probably go get a second opinion, although I was thinking about going to Cleveland Clinic to see perhaps if this was something I was dealing with, like throat cancer or something like that. But I accepted it that it was depression and anxiety. I was given some medication, and then I started talking to my doctor about, or actually, I hired a therapist and started talking through. We did tap therapy. We, talked through my childhood. And I thought, well, maybe there's some remnants of my childhood that I need to work through. Maybe this is adverse childhood experiences all over again. But again, no one said menopause. Now, I need to give you this really interesting statistic that I am not alone and you're not alone. 62% of women at my age, at the time I was 50 years old, so between like 45 and up, talk about neurological issues that they are experiencing. And it is called menopause brain. Ah, when I found this research, and I did not find this research until a year ago. By the recording of this video, it's 2026. I did not discover this research until a year ago. Not even that, 6 months ago. I'm just beside myself. And for those of you who are going through this, I want to let you know that take a deep breath, my sister, because this is not something that you're dreaming up. You are not broken. You are not flawed. You're simply unmeasured and unregulated. Your brain is going through a transition. And we have the actual brain scans to prove it. Dr. Lisa Mosconi, I'm pulling up the book right now. This is like, where am I going out of frame? The menopause brain is the focus that we are going to be focusing on. Oh, there's just so much to say about this topic. And the first thing that I want to share with you that I feel a lot of people feel unsettled, unnerved, really feeling like they just can't get it together. And I just remember expressing this to my husband and, sharing this with him that I feel so bad. And I would every day feel like, why do I feel this way? And it gets me emotional thinking about it because it was just such a horrible time for me. And I felt so alone because no one else knew what I was talking about. Or at least if they did, they didn't know how to verbalize it. They didn't know what to say. And I remember at the time, and some of you may have heard me share this story before, where it was 2020, the mayor of our city brought people together, these experts in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That beautiful, beautiful title that I love so much, that was the responsibility of so many great things in our world today, that brought and assembled these people together to help with relationships with the Toledo Police Department. And I remember being on this committee and I just felt like I could not do this work. I had a hard time getting up in the morning time. I never had an issue getting out of bed, but I had an issue getting out of bed. I had an issue with my client. Like, I had this client at the time who was hired me. It was this big contract, and I was not well. And I actually called upon a colleague to help me, which is what I was trained to do as an attorney. And, you know, I could not function. I couldn't string together strategy at the moment. And I felt deficient. I felt alone. So on this committee and my client, I just really felt like something else was going on. And so because, when you don't know what's going on with you, you just want to have an answer, right? And depression and anxiety at that particular point was the answer, but it wasn't the full scope. And the reason I share this with you is because a lot of you, as I said, are feeling this way. There are some solutions that we can get to, but you need to know, according to Dr. Lisa Mosconi, that estrogen is responsible for so many aspects of the functionality of your brain to create neurotransmitters. It's starving for oxygen. It's starving for this function to create synapses. The hypothalamus is trying to regulate your body. Your pituitary gland is trying to regulate your body, which causes you to get hot and to heat up from time to time. But it also disallows you to be able to put these function together. Now, cognitively, let's just get this out of the way. Cognitively, you can function. You will be able to function just like anybody else. It'll just be more difficult for you to be able to function because of this thing called menopause brain. Now, I want you to understand that all the symptoms are not always the same. If it was, then it would be 100% of the women, but 62% of the women experience this. Now, there aren't any scientific proof to back this up, but I would venture to say, and this is again, I am not a scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, and I am definitely not an expert in this area. But I would venture to say that people who historically have had adverse childhood experiences, called ACE, or people who have had previous traumatic events that have happened in our lives, might be predisposed to this cognitive functioning, to this not cognitive dysfunctioning, the load of the body, the brain's ability to be able to function without estrogen. And the cognitive functioning might feel like it's being impacted more deeply because of this. Now, this is just me, pontificating off the dome. All I'm saying is we women need to know that we simply need to start to study ourselves. Is this a symptom of yours? If it is, share it with me. You can share it with me privately, because there's so much stigma around this, and no one is talking about this in mainstream corporate America because of the cognitive. I don't want people to think I can't do my job. I don't want people to make these assumptions about me. Well, we have to be the ones to own this so that we can set the record straight. We have to be the ones to set the record straight that this is not a problem of getting the job done. It is a issue of knowing and recognizing that we need to have alternatives to help us get through this. And of course, we will later talk about hormone replacement therapy that will help with this. But for now, it's a matter of just understanding that this is not something that you are the issue. Your brain is trying to function differently. So, I want to share the scans with you because I want you to see what Dr. Mosconi talks about. She calls everything that a woman goes through from puberty to death is right when you start to gain puberty, you start having periods. That's called premenopause. Then when you're starting moving out of premenopause and before you after your period stops, that's called perimenopause. And then after a series of time, you will move into postmenopause. So I want to share this brain scan with you because you can see the red on these brain scans indicate that there's a firing going on. And you can see how those brain scans start to show the red going away later in postmenopause. And this is where I want you to know that Dr. Mosconi's research is real, it's measurable, and it's just a temporary reorganization of your brain. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? You are not alone, and this is something that is happening to every single woman that you know. So, the first thing that I would love to do, this is going to be a short video today because it's simply about education. But the first thing I would love to ask you to do is to pick up Dr. Lisa Mosconi's book and travel along with us as we begin to analyze what she's talking about as it relates to the way in which our brain is functioning. I want to talk a little deeper about our brain. I want to get into aspects of the way that we lead. I want to get into aspects of how we can protect our brain. And then I also want to talk about how we can build a new one, right? How we can begin to build a new brain. Isn't this exciting? This is exciting. And it's going to be a great month. And I hope that you will travel with me. But again, start by picking up Dr. Lisa Mosconi's book. I would like for you to tell me, are you one of the ones who has been traveling through one of these difficult times? Because out of the people that follow this channel, I want to know, are you a part of the 60%, 62%? If so, count it all joy. Because not only are you going to be able to use and learn this information for yourself, you're going to be able to help so many women understand that they are not alone. And just to think that we've been getting this stuff done, we've been doing our work with 32% less of brain capacity, that's when you know women are phenomenal. We are spectacular because we can do all of these things even when our brains are not functioning. Oh, God made us wonderfully well. So you are a beautiful, wonderful woman, and you have so much excellence inside of you. We just need to understand the research. We need to know that we are not alone and we can rise through this together. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? This is just an introductory video. If you're going to travel along with me, meet up with me next week as we dive into the second half of this research that we're going to be talking about, which is stop blaming your character for your biology. Okay. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about character. If you want to go deep, my suggestion is that you pick up and take our free biology. It's the executive biology audit to help you as an executive woman know that you are not traveling alone and that you can do your own assessment of yourself to see how you are leading with the biology that you currently have. Okay. So we're going to link the free executive biology audit. Regardless, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to our Authentic Power Strategies newsletter, and we are just beginning to learn more about this topic. Thank you so much for being with me, and I will see you in the next video.